Hey, you guys, Erin here, back with another moon update for you. Wow, I hope everybody got through that first eclipse season of 2022 with some ease and grace. That was very intense. Now we are into Gemini season and we are having a new moon in the sign of Gemini. This is coming up on Monday. This is, let's see, Monday is the May 30th, and this takes place at 4:30 a.m. Pacific time. So ideally, we want to set our intentions to work with this new moon, new beginning energy the night before. Ideally, we want to pull out our journals the night before on May 29th and write down what it is we're trying to manifest with this new moon in Gemini. Okay. And what happens is, we have a new moon every single month. And the energy is very much associated by the zodiac sign that new moon takes place in. Okay. And what happens is over the next 6 months, we will experience growth that has to do with that zodiac sign, lunar growth. And in 6 months, we'll have a full moon in the sign of Gemini. That will be the peak of that growth cycle. And then it will start to subside, okay, until we have the next new moon in Gemini. So we pull out our journals the night before and we write down what it is, what kind of growth we want to set the intentions for where we want that growth to be in our life, and it really has a lot to do. You can finely tune this by knowing where the sign of Gemini comes through your natal chart. That's why I really encourage people to at least schedule one astrology reading, because then you've got the recording and you can go back and see what area of your life this sign of Gemini comes through. But as a collective, this is an opportunity for new beginnings or growth that has to do with the sign of Gemini. Okay. So Gemini is the mutable air sign. By mutable, I mean that this energy is very, very adaptable, extremely adaptable. It has a lot to do with change. You can have friends with all different types of friends, all different types of people. Can be very popular because it's also very chatty. But the air element, the element of air, this is all about intellect. Gemini is highly intellectual energy. In fact, it's like the student who's constantly wanting to learn and paying attention to the facts. It's not like a faith-based energy at all. It's all about paying attention to the facts and wanting to learn about them. Now, it's also the sign of communication because it's ruled by Mercury. Okay, Mercury is the messenger of the gods. Mercury rules our mind. It's like we receive messages through Mercury and then reiterate them, put them back out. That's Gemini energy. Okay, now people who say they have their sun in Gemini, especially people who have their sun and Mercury in Gemini. These people, it's like they always want to write. They want to write something. They either want to be writing in their journals, writing a book, or just being chatty, talking to people, being very sociable, and also sharing information on social media. If there's a zodiac sign that's associated with social media, it is certainly Gemini. If you're trying to launch a new website, or if you're trying to get on a new social media platform, say there's been something you've wanted to share with people, but you just haven't wanted to, set the intentions for that now with this new moon. Or she's writing a book, any of these things, anything that has to do with writing or verbal communication. But also keep in mind, you can flow through the changes. And also keep in mind that because this energy is so adaptable, I really do recommend being open to the change. If you write down a certain intention and you want that very specific thing to happen without anything changing, you might need to add a little more Gemini energy into your life. You might need to add a little more adaptability into your life because the universe always throws unexpected changes at us. But I will tell you that this working with the moon cycles absolutely 100% works. It proves itself to me every single time. But again, I always am expecting the changes. Okay, let's see here. What else can we say about Gemini? It's the duality, this energy that it's the twins. In fact, it rules the hands, the two hands, because it has a lot to do with the duality. Gemini energy can actually feel two ways about something at the same time. It's very interesting energy. It's actually quite playful. It can be a little bit of a trickster. Again, it's very sociable. It can be very popular, especially if it's out there, actually using its communication skills. Okay, so maybe even, expand your popularity with this new moon, anything that your heart desires. Okay, so let me go ahead and share the screen because there really is some other things to mention here that's going on. Mercury's going to be in retrograde. We have a wild, rocky ride through the sign of Taurus going on. Okay, so what we're looking at here is the tropical zodiac for the time of this new moon, May 30th at 4:30 a.m. Pacific time. Okay, I work with geocentric Western astrology. Now, what we're going to be looking, let's start here. Let's start with the sun and the moon. This right here is the sun, and this right here is the moon. And this right here is the sign of Gemini. So we can see they're coming through 9 degrees Gemini. 9 degrees Gemini, it's within the first 10 degrees of Gemini energy. So it's very, very strong Gemini energy coming through. It's a little bit of a berserker energy. Not to suggest that if you're a Gemini, you're a berserker. You certainly could be, but it's that Gemini energy, it can be very, again, very bouncy. So we can kind of be expecting that with this intense amount of Gemini energy coming through here. But then let's lean over and look over here. My goodness. Okay, this is right here, the symbol for the sign of Taurus. We're getting hit with a lot of Taurus energy, and it's not a normal Taurus energy. Sign of Taurus is the fixed earth sign. By fixed, what I mean is it wants to be stable. Taurus is the bull. It doesn't want to budge. The sign of Taurus, it's the most stable sign of the zodiac, but it's certainly not stable right now. And the reason for that, let's start with this over here, which is Uranus. I've talked so much about this, so I don't want to put too much time into this, but Uranus brings like abrupt changes. Uranus is very unpredictable. It's very, it's like electrical, spasmodic. It's very, almost like chaotic. It's rebellious. Okay. And it's considered very debilitated in the sign of Taurus. It really, sign of Taurus does not like Uranus going through it, because Taurus wants to be stable. And here's Uranus shaking everything around in that sign of Taurus. And then take into consideration, this right here is Mercury going through Taurus in retrograde. Okay. So like Mercury, and people who are born with Mercury and Taurus in their natal chart, for the most part, they can have actually a pretty calm, steady, conscious awareness and a pretty stable communication skills, but it's in retrograde. Now, going back to that, so I keep saying like set the intentions for the communication growth and all that sort of thing. I would not take this new, I would not say, okay, May 30th is the new moon in Gemini. On May 30th, I'm going to have that very serious conversation with so-and-so because this is the time for communication. I would wait probably all the way. I mean, so much of this depends on your own natal chart, but really, ideally, I would wait until like June 15th. I think Mercury's in retrograde till June 3rd, but while Mercury's in retrograde, it's not the best time for a business meeting. It's not the best time to be communicating something important. It's not even the best time to be, sending long text messages to people, because Mercury's driving backwards. Okay. And again, it rules our mind and our communication skills. What this is a good time for is to rethink or to reevaluate what it is you're trying to say. Or maybe here's a really good example. Let's say you've got a social media, site or page or whatever, and you want it to be more successful. Okay. This is a time you can experience the growth in that. But right now, while Mercury's in retrograde, rethink what you're doing with it. Reevaluate what you want to be sharing. Reevaluate what, you want people to see from you and what you think people will enjoy seeing. Reevaluate it all while Mercury's in retrograde. Perfect time for that. Okay, now, so there's Mercury and Uranus going through Taurus, but what we've got between them is the North Node. Okay, now the North Node is where the celestial tides come in. This is where energy comes in. And since all three of these guys are kind of bunched in together, they're blending together and working as one. So Taurus is a little overwhelmed right now. If you've got a lot of Taurus energy in your natal chart, especially if you got like, say, your sun, I don't know, like 20 degrees Taurus, woof, wow. You're just, you want things to be stable, but they're not right now. And that's just the way it goes. But this Gemini energy, Gemini season, can help us adapt through the changes. Okay. Now, what's lovely is that we also have Venus in Taurus. She's way the heck up here. She's way far away from Mercury and Uranus in the North Node, which is probably good. Venus she's the ruler of Taurus. Venus brings calmness. Venus is like the antidote for everything. She soothes. She brings romance. She brings sensuality. So that's really nice. I'd say hallelujah for that, Venus and Taurus, to bring some sense of calmness and stability, because the next thing I'm going to talk about is hot and fiery. Okay. This right here is Mars going through the sign of Aries. Now, Mars rules Aries. Mars is the aggressor. It is dominant. It can be even rageful. Okay. I love Mars. I've got a like strong amount of Mars in my natal chart, which is interesting because I'm also Pisces, Moon, and Cancer, but you guys can probably see it. I've got a fiery personality. But this Mars energy is it's hot and it's ready to go. And he's working super comfortably in his own sign, the sign of Aries. Aries is the cardinal fire sign. So this is warrior energy coming through. But then everything I just said is multiplied, intensified a lot, because this right here is Jupiter right next to Mars. Jupiter, what he's next to, he'll make it a bigger deal. Jupiter's the expander. Now he brings abundance and luck and wisdom and philosophy and wonderful things, but he's next to Mars. He's hot. This is a big deal. This is very aggressive energy. Be very mindful with yourself, with your words, with your relationships, with your actions, because this is hot. Okay. Now I'm just going to briefly touch on Neptune and Saturn because I've talked so much about them already. Neptune is the one who actually rules the sign of Pisces. He loves being in the sign of Pisces. This is a very soft, like spiritual and flowy energy. It's very much about the spirit world and mysticism. And this transit it's very long. It takes a long time for Neptune to get through one sign. So people are very slowly but surely having a spiritual awakening with Neptune going through Pisces. However, it's very important to pay attention to where you're getting your information from, because this energy can also bring delusions. Okay. It's very, I'm going to just say it, like people are easily manipulated with this energy. Okay. That it's like whatever they're seeing on the news, they're just believing. I just wish people would turn their darn TVs off. Don't listen to the news. That's my suggestion. That's my number one top suggestion for the times that we are going through, because we can be easily, influenced by that stuff with this Neptune in Pisces. And I'm not even going any further into that. Hopefully you understand what I mean. Now, this right here is Saturn going through Aquarius, which I really like this placement. Saturn is the one who makes the rules. He's all about responsibilities. He's there to provide structure. He's not fun. Saturn is not a fun and playful energy at all. He's there to tell you to get your responsibilities taken care of, but he's going through the sign of Aquarius, which is the sign of humanitarianism, the sign of the people for the people. This is a very revolutionary energy. This is also very rebellious. I could see that there's rebellious energy going on right now, but it's also providing, in a sense, like these like building blocks for the humanitarian groups, for this incredibly powerful transformational process that we are all going through as a collective. But it's also important that we are all taking part in some sort of act of humanitarianism that will definitely, we'll just say be good for your karma. We'll just leave that there. Okay. Now this right here, Pluto in Capricorn, talked about this a bunch already. So this is another one I'm just going to briefly touch on. Pluto is the destroyer. Okay. Pluto brings a death and rebirth process, which is usually not a fun process. Okay. It's this, not necessarily suggested that everybody's going to die. It's more about even just our cells and our body are changing there. It's like everything is going to this death and then rebirth process. Okay. And when I say everything, that's not only because of this transit that's going on here, Pluto going through Capricorn. It's because there's so much, we're going into a whole new age, the age of Aquarius, and so many other things. But let me get to the point here. Pluto, the one who influences the death and rebirth process, is going through the sign of Capricorn. Now, Capricorn is the ruler of the structure of our civilization. It is also the ruler of authoritarian establishments. Pluto is currently driving backwards, retrograding through that sign. The destroyer, the one who brings powerful death and rebirth, is driving backwards through the structure of our civilization and our authoritarian establishments. It's very, very intense energy. And it can also have a lot to do with fear. The sign of Capricorn, Capricorn's wonderful. It's ambitious. It's strong. It's like driven for success and that sort of thing. But it can also be associated with fear. It's represented by the mountain goat, and the mountain goat is certainly not at the top of the food chain. Okay. So the fear that's going on, that's another reason I'm talking about turning off the news, because it's all just fear based. Okay. So be mindful of that. Maybe this Gemini energy, this intellectual energy, and the energy that supports change will hopefully bring people into a place of thinking for themselves and turning all this weird stuff off. Okay. Now, one more very strong aspect that's going on here. I'm going to point this out because, wow, this is a very strong one. Okay. So there's this connection going on between Mercury and Pluto. As I just described Pluto, Pluto also rules the psyche. Okay. Like what's going on back here, where Mercury rules more about what's going on, like the conscious, what we're consciously aware of. Okay. And they're actually kind of having this harmonious conversation. And what this can lead into is like research. If you're somebody who likes to dive into research and understand things from a deeper level, you've got some good support here. I mean, they're both in retrograde, but still you've got some really good support for doing the research and almost even like scientific research, that sort of thing, or even going into occult studies, that sort of thing. There's lots of other aspects I could go into here, but I don't want to overwhelm anybody. I always try to make these videos within a reasonable time. So let's end that there. Let's talk about some Gemini stones. The dedicated zodiacal birthstone for the sign of Gemini is agate. There's literally like every color under the sun, color agate. There's red agate, blood agate, blue lace agate, green agate, moss agate. There's grays and blues, all kinds of different colors of agate. Any of them would be good to support your what you're trying to, set the intention for with this new moon. Personally, I really do recommend putting the stone on your journal. You write down what you're trying to manifest with this new moon. You take that stone and you put it on top of your journal rather than wearing it on your body, because you could be somebody who the agate is too much for you. Maybe you've already got a ton of Gemini energy. And I'm super generalizing this because let's just use this as an example. Okay. The red agates. If you're somebody who's dealing with a lot of frustration and aggravation, you probably don't want to be wearing a red stone on your body, even red agate, which for the most part, agate can be very calming and soothing, but the red vibration it can make your frustrations even worse. But if you're somebody who's, having a hard time getting the fire going, igniting yourself to get on with your life and make some changes, then maybe you do want a red stone to help you kind of get yourself going. That red energy can be very, very almost like Mars. Okay. It can almost be aggressive. So it's just kind of use some common sense when it comes to this stuff. I really like this piece right here. This is blue lace agate, and it's super calm, sort of soothing energy because it's soft and blue. This one right here, this is a moss agate, which is green, which can be very grounding. There's another green agate. I mean, I don't even know how many pieces of agate. Here's another piece right here, a little piece of I don't even know what kind this is, but it's some sort of gray. These colors are going to be more soothing than the red agate. I don't have any red agate in front of me, unfortunately, but you get the point. Hopefully. Now there's tons of other stones that also resonate very well with that sign of Gemini. So I will, as usual, leave a full extensive list of Gemini stones. Maybe you've got one, at home already, so you can put that on top of your journal to help, bring your manifestations into reality. Now, Gemini body parts, it rules again, the hands, the duality, the arms, but most importantly, it rules the lungs. Okay. So this new moon, especially, with everything, the air pollution, everything that's going on in the world, people's lungs are definitely affected. I don't care if you're the healthiest person in the world, your lungs are not as healthy as they want to be. I shouldn't say that, but it's kind of just the way it is. There's a lot of toxicity in this air and everywhere else in the world. But pay attention to how your lungs feel during this new moon, because our lungs are going to be more sensitive at the time of this new moon. And also anytime the moon transits through the sign of Gemini, pay attention to the lungs. But some good just remedies for lung issues, especially for pulling stuff out. My two favorites are Mullein, which is a leaf. I harvested some from Northern California last year and make some tinctures with it. But you can buy the tinctures. You can make a tea with it. You can find this stuff online or your local herb shop, something like that. But another one, you can also smoke Mullein too. Smoke Mullein, I like to roll it in spliffs and smoke Mullein. But I know it sounds weird for some people who are like, wait a minute, you're just trying to smoke something and heal your lungs. Yes, Mullein, smoking, yes. Renaissance times, a big part of healing the lungs, they use to smoke Mullein. Now, another one to mention is Elecampane, which is really one of my favorites. It's got a really interesting, very potent fragrance to it. It's almost like a really strong cedar smell, but I like it. It feels super cleansing. I've had it in a tincture and a tea. I used it for my mom when my mom was in her final days here. She had a lot of lung issues, and the Elecampane really helped with that stuff. So again, you can look that up online and order yourself some or whatever. But more than anything, just pay attention to your lungs and maybe do some breath work for this new moon. This is an excellent time for doing some sort of breath work. If you've never practiced any sort of breath work before, look that up online. There might even be, some sort of where I live in Santa Cruz, there's all kinds of gatherings where people get together and they do yoga and they work on their breath together. And it can be actually profoundly beneficial for people's lives. So, all right, I'm going to leave it at that. If you would like to schedule an astrology reading, please do go to erinwageastrology.com. I'll leave links to that right at the top of my website. There's a link that says book online. If you click on that, a calendar will pop up and you should be able to schedule straight through my website. However, my business hours are generally 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific time. Now, I understand I give a lot of readings to people who are over in the UK, just in other parts of the world. And that time is going to be very inconvenient for you guys that are in a different time zone. So I can be very flexible. So if you don't see something in the calendar that works for you, then just send me an email and I'm sure we can figure something out. Okay. And my email address is erinwageastrology@gmail.com. Okay. Just to say that again. The website is erinwageastrology.com. Email is erinwageastrology@gmail.com. Okay, you guys, I do hope to hear from some of you. And until next time, namaste to all of you.